Welcome to the NPC Energy Podcast. We're your weekly top 10 show digging into, well, the wild idea that maybe reality isn't quite what it seems.
Asking if maybe it's all just one big simulation.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, the Matrix was less sci-fi and more documentary. We're going to dive into glitches, some pretty funky theories, all in a way that's hopefully a bit more engaging than reading Plato straight.
Definitely trying for that.
So if you're out there, if you feel like a player in this whole thing, do us a solid share, rate, follow NPC Energy, prove you're human.
It's a feeling that seems to be bubbling up everywhere lately, doesn't it? The sense that some interactions just lack something.
Yeah, like there's no depth.
Right, like some people might just be, I don't know, operating on a simpler script. It really makes you wonder about your own consciousness and if everyone else is really seeing the world the same way.
Totally. And that's our simulated journey for today, exploring that specifics feeling, that sense of NPC energy. Are we the players, the main characters with a real story?
While others are maybe just filling the background, the non-player characters running on loops.
Sounds crazy, maybe, but it clearly resonates. It's a feeling people have.
And what's really interesting is this whole modern anxiety about simulations and NPCs, it's not entirely new. Thinkers have wrestled with reality and perception for ages.
Right. So today we're connecting some dots. Ancient philosophy, modern text theories.
We'll start way back with Plato's allegory of the cave, that classic idea about, well, how we can be fooled by what we see.
Then we'll jack into the Matrix, obviously. Can't talk about this stuff without it.
Definitely not. After that, we'll look at Allan Kardec's Spiritism from the 19th century, which has this fascinating take on different levels of, let's say, spiritual awareness.
Okay, interesting.
And finally, we'll get into modern simulation theory,
Yeah.
Bostrom and all that.
So the mission, basically, is to look at this player versus NPC idea through all these different lenses, see what shakes out.
Trying to analyze the source code of existence, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. So let's start this simulated journey way back. Ancient Greece, Plato's cave, the OG holodeck, perhaps?
Plato's cave, yeah, from the Republic. Such a powerful image. You want to paint the picture.
Okay, imagine this. People chained up in a cave since childhood. Legs, necks, all fixed. They can only stare straight ahead at a wall.
Just a blank cave wall.
Right, but behind them, there's a fire. And between the fire and them, a raised path where puppeteers walk by carrying things. Statues, figures of animals, random objects.
And the fire casts the shadows of these objects onto the wall the prisoners are facing.
Exactly. And those flickering, flat shadows, that's all they've ever known. They've never seen the real objects or the puppeteers or even the fire.
So that shadow play is their reality. They wouldn't even have a concept for anything else.
Precisely. Their whole understanding is built on it. Plato even says they'd get good at it, like predicting which shadow comes next.
Developing a science of shadows.
Yeah. And they'd honor whoever was the best shadow guesser. Like that was the highest achievement in their world.
Wow. That hits a bit close to home, doesn't it? How we sometimes value mastering superficial system.
It really does. And Plato adds, if there was an echo, they'd think the shadows were talking. Socrates sums it up. People such as these would believe the truth to be nothing except the shadows of manufactured objects.
Just shadows. Mistaking appearance for the real deal. So what happens if someone challenges this?
Okay, so Plato imagines one prisoner is, forcibly released, dragged out. It's not pleasant.
It's not a gentle awakening.
No. First, the pain of moving stiff limbs. Then the firelight, it's blinding, confusing after a lifetime in dimness.
Total sensory overload.
Yeah.
Everything they knew suddenly contradicted.
Totally. And if you showed them the actual objects, they'd probably be bewildered. Might even think the shadows were more real at first. It shows how hard it is to ditch old beliefs.
There's a weird comfort in the familiar, even if it's wrong. So resistance first, then the journey out.
Right. A steep, rough climb out of the cave. Dragged again, it's an ordeal. And then they hit the sunlight.
Even worse than the firelight, presumably.
Totally blinding. Can't see a thing. Plato says they have to adjust slowly. First, maybe shadows of real things outside, then reflections, then maybe things at night.
It's a metaphor, right? For the slow, often painful process of gaining real knowledge, adjusting to the truth.
Exactly. And finally, they can look at the sun itself, which for Plato represents the ultimate truth, the form of the good, the source of everything real and true.
The highest level of understanding, moving from illusion to enlightenment.
Yeah. So this enlightened person, they feel pity for the others still stuck down there. They feel they have to go back, share the news.
Ah, but the return, that's where it gets kind of tragic, isn't it?
It really does. Because when they go back into the cave, their eyes, now used to the sun, can't readjust to the dark. They stumble around, seem clumsy.
Can't even see the shadows properly anymore.
Right. So to the prisoners who never left, this person looks like an idiot. They think the journey ruined them.
See? Going outside messed him up. Better to stay here with the shadows.
Exactly that. Plato writes, men would say of him that up he went and down he came without his eyes, and that it was better not even to think of ascending. They just mock him.
It's a stark commentary on how threatening new knowledge can be to an established, comfortable ignorance, and how hard it is to explain something profound to someone who just can't see it yet.
And it gets darker. Plato suggests if this enlightened person tried to free the others, to drag them out.
They wouldn't react well.
Not at all. And as for anyone who tried to set them free, if they could somehow get their hands on him and kill him, wouldn't they do just that?
Wow. Violent resistance to being freed from illusion. That's powerful.
So yeah, Plato's cave,
Yeah.
it nails this idea that reality might be faked, the struggle to see truth, the resistance to it, and how the unenlightened might attack the messenger. You see it everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. The Truman Show is a perfect modern example. Or even us, with the tethered representing that shadow reality. Plato really laid the groundwork.
Foundational code for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
let's hit fast forward. Big jump. 1999, cyberpunk time.
The Matrix. Can't avoid it in this conversation.
No way. We're talking AI, simulations, downloading Kung Fu.
Yeah.
The works. Our hero is Thomas Anderson, a.k.a. Neo, hacker guy.
And he has that feeling, right, that something's off.
Yeah, that splinter in his mind. There's something wrong with the world. He just feels it. What he doesn't know yet is, well, everything he perceives. It's the Matrix.
A massive simulation run by machines.
Yeah, machines that won the war and now keep humans in pods, like living batteries, harvesting their energy.
It's a pretty grim setup. Humans as Duracells in a virtual world.
Totally grim. Then Morpheus shows up, freed human, offers Neo the choice. Red pill or blue pill?
The iconic choice.
Yeah.
Ignorance or truth.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. It's right there. Comfortable lie or hard truth?
And that choice, red versus blue pill, it's gone way beyond the movie now, hasn't it? It's a cultural shorthand.
For sure. Neo takes the red pill, obviously.
Yeah.
Wakes up to the horror show, the human battery towers. Awful.
And Morpheus explains what real actually is.
Yeah. Real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. Basically, your senses can be totally hacked.
It's Plato's cave again, but with a high-tech explanation for how the deception works on a massive scale.
Exactly. And everyone's still plugged in. The blue pills, they're the ultimate NPCs. Completely unaware.
And resistant to waking up, too, right? Morpheus says that.
Yeah, he says, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. Many of them are so inert, they will fight to protect it. Sounds just like Plato's prisoners, doesn't it?
The parallel is crystal clear. People clinging to the familiar illusion, defending the system that imprisons them.
The system has defenders, too. The agents. Sentient programs. Enforcers.
Keeping the simulation stable, stamping out deviations like antibodies.
And Agent Smith. He gets weirdly philosophical, starts hating humanity. That speech about humans being a disease, a plague.
Is that just his programming, or is
Yeah.
it an NPC gaining some kind of sentience, malignant sentience?
It's super ambiguous. Really makes you think about AI and consciousness. Then there's the Oracle. Another program.
But she guides the resistance, deals in fate versus free will, that whole thing.
Yeah, Neo's like, I don't like the idea that I'm not in control. But she tells him, you've already made the choice. You're here to try to understand why you made it. Mind-bending stuff.
That paradox choice within a possibly deterministic system, is our free will real or just part of the program?
And the sequels muddy the waters even more, suggesting Zion, the real world, might just be another layer of simulation.
Simulations all the way down. It becomes a metaphor for any kind of control system, political, social, mental.
Right, Morpheus calls it a prison for your mind. It's not just about computers.
Exactly. The scope widens considerably.
But Neo, he becomes the one, the player supreme. He learns the rules aren't fixed. Your mind makes it real. He starts seeing the code.
Free your mind.
Right.
He learns to bend the system by understanding it, by believing he can. It's about transcending limitations.
So yeah, the Matrix is like Plato's cave on steroids, basically. Simulated world, painful awakening, unaware blue pills, system agents, Neo, the emerging player. It really crystallized NPC energy for the internet age.
But even there, as Smith shows, the line between programmed NPC and something else can get really blurry.
Okay, let's shift gears dramatically now. No more cyberpunk for a bit. We're heading back to 19th century France.
It's Allan Kardec and Spiritism, a very different flavor.
Yeah, sounds like a leap, right? Spirits, reincarnation. But trust me, there are some surprising links to this whole player NPC thing.
Kardec, his real name was Reveil, actually was fascinating. Not just a mystic, but a serious educator. He approached all the spirit communication stuff going on back then with like a scientific mindset.
Right. Spirit tapping was huge, but he wanted rigor.
Oh.
He collected thousands of communications, analyzed them systematically, tried to build a coherent philosophy, science, philosophy, religion, all mixed.
And his big work, the Spirits book from 1857, laid it all out. So what are the key ideas for us?
Okay, core belief. Humans are immortal spirits. We just temporarily use physical bodies. We're connected by this thing called a paraspirit, like an energy body. Death is just disincarnation.
So life on Earth is just one stop on a much longer spiritual journey.
Exactly. And the main game mechanic, reincarnation, or plurality of existences. Spirits start out simple and ignorant, then evolve through many lives, learning, growing morally, paying off old debts, getting closer to God.
To be born, to die, to be reborn yet again, and to constantly progress, such is the law. That's the famous quote, right?
That's the one. It's basically a cosmic RPG of soul leveling up.
And spirits might even choose their next life's challenges.
Yeah, Spiritism says spirits in the spirit world often pick their next set of trials based on what they need to learn or atone for, like picking your next character build and difficulty setting.
That adds a layer of purpose, potentially, even to suffering or hardship. Maybe you pick this lesson.
Could be. So where do the NPCs fit in this? Are there spiritual NPCs?
This is where Spiritism gets really nuanced about NPC energy. Kardec outlined a spirit hierarchy based on evolution. Top tier, pure spirits, then good spirits, and then the third order, imperfect spirits.
Imperfect spirits. Okay, that sounds promisingly NPC-like. What defines them?
According to Kardec, they're marked by the predominant influence of matter over spirit, propension to evil, ignorance, pride, selfishness. They have limited understanding, cling to earthly stuff. Many are described as frivolous, mischievous, lacking reasoning, maybe not even bad, just underdeveloped.
Frivolous, lacking reasoning, attached to worldly things. That resonates, doesn't it? With certain kinds of shallow interactions we sometimes experience.
It really does. Kardec even specified types like neutral spirits, stuck on material things, and impure spirits who actively mislead and cause trouble.
So Spiritism suggests that NPC behavior might be a sign of a less evolved soul, still dominated by material instincts, or maybe even influenced by these discarnate imperfect spirits.
Exactly. It's not necessarily saying they're not conscious, but that their consciousness is operating at a, let's say, lower frequency, focused on the shadows of the material world.
So the player here is the spirit actively working on its evolution across lives, making conscious effort.
Precisely. And someone acting NPC-like might just be a younger soul on their path. Their actions might even be serving as lessons for others who are further along.
And that idea of an old soul, someone wise beyond their years, that fits perfectly. A spirit with more lifetimes under its belt. A high-level player.
It offers a spectrum of consciousness rather than a simple on-off switch like some other models might imply.
Okay, that's fascinating. Let's bring this simulated journey back to the present day, modern simulation theory.
Right. Forget spirits for a moment. Let's talk pixels. The idea that our whole reality could be, well, a giant computer program.
Run by some super advanced civilization. Nick Bostrom's argument really kicked this into the mainstream, right? The trilemma.
Exactly. Bostrom's 2003 paper laid it out. He argued at least one of these three things has to be true.
Okay, what are they?
1. Civilizations like ours almost always wipe themselves out before they get advanced enough to run complex ancestor simulations. Call it the Great Filter or the Doom scenario.
Okay, plausible, unfortunately. What's 2?
2. Advanced post-human civilizations almost always choose not to run these simulations. Maybe for ethical reasons, maybe they're just bored by the idea. The boredom scenario.
Right, so doom or boredom? What's the third option?
3. If doom and boredom are false, then we are almost certainly living in a simulation right now, the simulation scenario.
What almost certainly?
Because if advanced civilizations can and do run these simulations, they'd likely run billions upon billions of them. The number of simulated minds like ours would vastly outweigh the original biological minds. So statistically, chances are we're Sims.
It's a numbers game. If simulated realities are common, we're probably in one.
That's the core logic. And people look for hints in physics, don't they?
Yeah, proponents point to weird stuff. Quantum mechanics, observation changing things, entanglement. The universe's constants being so perfectly fine-tuned for life, even the Planck length, like a minimum pixel size for reality.
And that new second law of infodynamics idea suggesting the universe optimizes information, maybe hinting at a computational base.
But there are loads of criticisms too, right? It's not universally accepted.
Oh, absolutely not. Big objections. Richard Carrier argues it's less simple Occam's razor violation. Why simulate such a huge, messy universe? It requires a more complex base reality plus the simulators.
Makes sense. What else?
Sabine Hassenfelder questions if consciousness can even exist outside biology. The whole substrate independence thing is unproven. Plus, she argues actually simulating our physics accurately might be computationally impossible, even for super advanced beings.
Right, the sheer processing power needed might be infinite or close to it. And why would they even bother?
That's another key criticism. What's the motivation? Why run messy, suffering-filled ancestor simulations? If the motivation is weak, the probability argument kind of falls apart.
Okay, so within this simulation theory framework, how does the player NPC split work?
It could be quite literal. Players might be the original beings jacked in, or maybe fully conscious simulated minds with real agency.
And NPCs.
There'd be the actual non-player characters. Sophisticated AI, maybe, but not truly conscious philosophical zombies. Or just simpler background programs running scripts. That's the direct source of the term NPC energy, literal code.
Got it. Okay. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground. Plato's cave, the Matrix, Kardec's spirits, simulation theory. Can we try to tie this all together, find some common threads in this grand unified glitch theory?
I think we can. First big theme. Reality is suspect. Every single one of these frameworks questions our everyday perception. Plato sees shadows, Matrix sees code, Spiritism sees material illusion, sim theory sees pixels.
Right. None of them trust reality at face value. What's next?
Theme 2. Awakening is possible, but hard. There's always a path to a higher state, but it's never easy. Escaping the cave, the red pill, spiritual evolution, breaking the simulation, it involves struggle, pain, effort, resistance.
Yeah. No easy enlightenment button. And the third theme?
The player-NPC divide itself, how each model explains differences in awareness or agency. Plato has the ignorant prisoners versus the enlightened philosopher. Kind of binary.
Matrix has blue pills and agents versus red pills, also mostly binary plugged or unplugged, aware or unaware.
Sim theory could be binary 2 conscious versus non-conscious code, or maybe tiered AI. But Spiritism...
Spiritism seems the most nuanced, right? Not just on-off.
Exactly. It offers that spectrum. Less evolved imperfect spirits focused on material stuff versus more evolved spirits striving for growth. It reframes NPC energy as maybe just being earlier on the evolutionary path, a gradient of consciousness.
So player in Spiritism isn't just knowing the truth. It's about actively trying to evolve, morally and intellectually.
Right. It suggests NPC-like behavior isn't necessarily emptiness, but maybe a younger soul focused on different lessons, or even influenced by other less evolved spirits. Their actions might even serve a purpose for others' growth.
So when we get that uncanny NPC feeling or see a glitch, Plato says it's ignorance, Matrix says it's code, Spiritism says it's low evolution or spirit influence, Sim theory says it's literal NPC scripts or bugs.
The grand unified glitch theory gives us multiple lenses to look through when reality feels weird, predictable, scripted, unreal.
Definitely a lot to think about. We've gone from ancient Greece to potential future tech on this simulated journey today.
From shadows to code to spirits to pixels, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If reality is some kind of construct, does knowing that change anything? Does sticking player or NPC labels on people actually matter?
That's the big question. Maybe the point isn't proving which theory is right, because how could we, really? Maybe it's about how we choose to engage with whatever reality we're in.
Are we just passively watching the shadows, taking the blue pill, letting ourselves be influenced?
Or are we actively trying to, free our minds, level up our souls, question the simulation's rules, regardless of what the ultimate truth is?
I think that's a powerful way to look at it. Player status might not be about knowing some secret, but about the conscious effort towards growth, understanding, and finding meaning, engaging with intention.
So our challenge to you listeners, stay vigilant. Notice those glitches, that NPC energy. Question the scripts, others, and your own. Maybe. Try an unexpected response sometime. Break the loop. See what happens.
And definitely share your stories. We want to hear your weirdest glitch moments or uncanny NPC encounters. Find us on social media.
Until our next simulated journey, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep debugging your reality, and watch out for those cave walls.